Good morning, day 327. It is just amazing what the sun does. Even though it says it's below freezing here, it doesn't feel like it. And this amazing thing that we get to live with that helps create life and light, that helps everything grow and then create all the chemicals that we need to exist, is all the energy of the sun and the relationship of our planet to that celestial being. Wow. Anyway. Okay. Hebrews 10. I'm calling today one and done. And so Paul again is kind of summing up and tying up the thoughts of, and look, the old ways are done. You don't need the law anymore. When you accept love into your heart and the way that Jesus told us how to live, and you allow your heart to be transformed by love, and you'll just live, you'll want to live in the new way. It'll be intrinsic. You won't need the rules. Like, one and done. It's a decision. And when you live by the head and logic alone, which that's what most of us do, and because we're in relationship, or we live by feelings, but still it's all dependent on other people and our relationship here on earth with our possessions, our positions, our people. Like, if we're living in only in this world, it's a tit for tat situation. It's a strings attached to everything. It's conditional. That requires rules. That requires a set of, okay, if your heart doesn't change and you don't realize that you're one with everything, and you see yourself completely as an individual that has to fight for its survival, but yet you depend on other people for part of that, because we are made, we're pack animals, we're made to live in groups and civilizations. We have to have the rules. You have to live by the rules, because it's a divided situation inside. You've got your own individual interests that compete with other people's interests. And so we need rules of engagement and laws and government and all of that. And even if you become transformed and you no longer need the rules, you live with other people that aren't transformed. And so we still have to live within the rules. Jesus told us you've got to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. You still will willingly live within the rules of society, but you no longer need them individually. Does that make sense? But even when you receive the truth and you have this, maybe you have a transcendent moment of oh, I get it. It takes a while for it to actually get into your heart, into your being, into who you really are at a transformational level. That takes time. It has to be walked out in faith and belief, which starts with a decision. Decision that even though I kind of get it, I don't really want to be this way anymore, so I'm going to follow these rules and follow the way, and knowing that eventually it will be just who I am, and I'll be naturally living from a place of love. But that, for many people, it takes time to go from head knowledge to heart knowledge, and where we even learn how to sort of be in the game of life and be in the game with other humans, without our identity being in the game, without we could go and do life with other people, which is why in the early church they really protected it so much, because they needed to make sure that they were truly transformed people living in a community, because they knew they wanted to do it. It wasn't hard for them. They were naturally able to do it, but they guarded that carefully to make sure, okay, are you in the transformation phase? Where are you in this process of becoming this new person who lives really from love, a changed position of love? And we're getting ready to head into the book of James. I think James goes even deeper in this concept, in the whole faith without works is dead. But works can't get you faith. Works can't get you love. You're kind of in a catch-22. The only way to really get it is to do it. And that's with any change that you want to make. When your identity is over here is one way, and then you decide, I want to be a new way, it takes a willingness and a patience and a perseverance to walk it out, even though it's hard, you don't really want to do it, you've got competing desires, until the new way has had enough time through actively being walked out and lived out, that it's like one day it's like, oh, I'm a new creation now. I am this way now. It's not hard anymore. Now I want to live this way. I don't want to go back to that way. It's like Jesus talked about the parable of the seed. Some seed will find root, it gets nourished, and it will grow. Some just get scattered among thorns or on rock, and it won't grow. This is that process. If people that sort of get the knowledge, they get the understanding, but they don't stick with it long enough and walk it out in faith and nourish this new understanding, the decision to actually get to be the new thing, the new creation. And that's what Jesus came to show us, how this works. And in order to understand it, we even had to have the old way, because the ultimate law of nature and our existence is the law of paradox. For a being that can think and reason and have logic and think about thinking, the law of paradox exists for us. Because as soon as we label something and put a name to it, we create its opposite. And there are a few things like love, true agape love and grace, that sort of hold the duality of paradox itself, that are, in and of themselves kind of paradoxical words. So anyway, Hebrews chapter 10, one and done. Decide, accept and believe that you are loved. Period. End of story. You can't earn it. You don't deserve it. You just are loved because you exist, which means that other people are too. It frees you to live a life of non-judgment, non-attachment, which actually allows you, ironically, to be more attached authentically to people, because it's not out of a need or a desperation or a fitting in or a belonging. It's like, I love you. Yeah, this way of being human it's complicated sometimes. Yeah, tell me about your complications. Let me tell you about mine. But you've got to make the decision, and you've got to stick with the decision, whatever it is you're trying to decide. If you're like me and you decide that alcohol is no longer healthy and isn't helping you be the person you want to be, or your way of eating or shopping, or some of your relationships in life, your relationship to money, maybe you've got golden handcuffs with a great title and great job, but it's not really what you want to do. We're all a slave to something, because that's just part of the human condition. So stop being a slave to fear and to your human things, and come over and be a slave to love. That is Jesus's invitation. And then that decision takes care of all the other decisions. One and done. All right. Have a great day. Rise and shine. Hebrews 10.